Yeah, man. Hey,
Hey,
that's it.
but let's go from a half star to a 5-star. Deion Sanders this week accepted a job as the head coach of Colorado University. This caused a big uproar amongst the black community, and yeah, I don't really think any white people are too upset about
No, like,
it.
yeah, he took a job that paid him more. Like, what? Every single
Yeah,
person that was white was like, he took a job that paid more money. Like, what are we like?
yeah, they're like, we
It's like,
get that. We don't go to work with a responsibility. We just have a job to do.
yeah,
So, since Deion Sanders decides not to support HBCUs anymore, Terry, I decided that I'd take the torch from him and show up with a little anti-Aggie pride, a little bit supports HBCU swag, because somebody has to now,
Yeah.
right? All right. So, tell us about why folks are so upset. Are you upset? Are you mad at Deion? Is he doing the right thing? Tell us how you feel about Deion leaving the HBCUs high and dry.
Mr. Dion. Nah, I'm not mad. The only thing I'll say is this, bro. This is the problem with the fucking black community. It's just so much just split decisions on everything, man. I'm proud that Dion is going to Colorado. He's going on to pastures where he can make a lot more money for himself. He can also shine a light on his sons and have them make it to the NFL. Not only like Jackson State, there weren't even one AA when he got there. They were in the FCS. He moved them up to the SWAC. They got their facilities have improved by a lot. He gave them sponsors from Pepsi. They had brand new uniforms for almost every single game. They had
Under Armour that they'll continue to have that partnership after he leaves.
Like he gave the whole conference a TV deal for 10 years. So almost a lot of the games are going to be on TV for the SWAC. First of all, like I said, your facilities are way better. Your stadium might get an improvement. He gave you Pepsi. He gave you fucking, I don't understand the hate, bro. He just helped them out. He helped out the whole conference. And he
gave up half his salary.
Yeah, he did.
It wasn't just that he got him all that shit. He gave up half his fucking salary to do it.
He did, bro. And my thing is this, bro. Like, I get that when somebody great goes to one place, especially at HBCUs, they usually stay for a long time. Like, I understand that. You can look up the history. There's a bunch of guys that stayed at universities for a long time when they were good. But they're not Deion Sanders. Deion was great before he got there. Those dudes, they weren't great before they got there. Deion is probably the most popular football player in the history. Like, is anybody more popular than him? Maybe Bo Jackson.
Yeah, certainly not amongst people who attend HBCUs.
No, but like, look.
Yeah, I think maybe Dan Marino or Joe Montana might challenge him amongst the regular populace of the United States.
The only things I've heard from like people that I respect is this. Bomani Jones, he said, he promised us a dream and he, cut out on the dream. I get he only stayed for 3 years. He went undefeated this year. He lost one game last year. It was a COVID year the year before. He went 4-3. Basically, for me, he was saying he wanted to stay at Jackson State longer, but Jackson State was doing some shady business things behind the scenes that a lot of people didn't understand or didn't know about. They were selling out games, but they weren't getting the full compensation for those sellouts. They would sell out 60,000 tickets, but for some reason, only 28,000 were accounted for. Something's going on. If he's not going to get paid his full salary, even though he's giving you the money back, he gave you half of it back, there's a problem there. But for the community, I'll say this. You just need to continue the positive momentum that he started for the whole conference. You still got Eddie George coaching in the league. A lot of the guys from the NFL just need to come back and help. Like, you see LeBron and Chris Paul fucking wearing that shit, even though they didn't go to HBCUs. They may not donate. Who the fuck knows? Donate money. I've donated money to my parents' alma mater, NCCU. We have to pay for the fucking soccer field. They asked me, you know anybody who can pay for it? I asked my parents. They gave some money so we can rent the shit out. I'm not trying to hear no shit from anybody. All right? That's just me.
Hey,
just continue the positive momentum that Deion Sanders was doing. He's one person. But if everybody that ever went to a HBCU gave back, then maybe we could have some positive momentum and be something that people will watch. Like, y'all aren't doing shit.
No,
Stop talking shit.
no, and this is something that's like little understood by many people who haven't spent time at HBCUs. Most people can't even name 10 HBCUs. There's like
They're
fucking 30.
underfunded.
You know what I mean? Well, here's the point of how they're underfunded. HBCUs are state-funded institutions, which means the state legislature sets the budget for everything in the university. They set the overall budget. They set the proportions of how the money is allocated. They set the football budget. Colorado's budget for their school is marginally higher than Jackson State's.
Yeah.
But their football budget is over $80 million because it isn't regulated by state legislators. Mm-hmm. They're allowed to accept these donations from boosters. They're allowed to take their money from tuition from their students and put it towards it. It's not just funded and regulated by the state. Because of this, it's hard for, Jackson State or any other HBCU to escape this cycle because all these PWIs, predominantly white institutions, have multiple sources of funding.
Yeah.
And they can get this money from multiple different avenues and then use it to increase their budget, where Jackson State is dependent on the state legislature. So how could you ever compete with that? This is what we talk about when we talk about institutional racism. Yeah. Like, this is it. And, for all the people criticizing Deion, and to your point about black folks, how there's always like multiple schools of thought and so much derision and so many people, it's never enough, and we always criticize our own. I'd say reference Nas. When Black Zombie said, fuck black leaders because whites ain't got none leading them.
Yeah.
Like, black people are not a monolith. The only time you should be a monolith is when Jerry Jones comes out and it fucking has a picture of him trying to prevent black folks from entering the school. That's when it's time to be a monolith. Not when it's time. Not when somebody dedicates years of their life and improves everything across the board in a way that you didn't think you could be improved in 20 years. He did it in 3. It reminds me of, what's that song where Kanye was talking about how the next man of him is going to have a good girl because Yeezy taught her?
Oh, yeah. Nah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, Yeezy taught me. That's Jackson State. They're going to be set up for success with the Under Armour, with the new facilities, with everything, because Deion taught him. And I think he did more for HBCUs in 3 years than any other figure has done in a decade. I think the part that people begrudge him, and, this is something that I feel this way as well, is like, don't bring God into this. All right? When he went to Jackson State, he was talking about how he had a message from God and he had a mission from God, and it was God's quest that he was going to, elevate Jackson, all the things that Bomani was talking about.
Yep.
And then he takes the job in Colorado and he says, I got a collect call from God and I wasn't going to not answer. Like, when you start to involve God in all of your decisions and then like give him the credit or like the reasons for things, that's when the waters get a little bit murky. And when people start to be like, all right, well, at that point, it's like, hey, you know what? God told me to go to USC. God told me to go to College Game Day and get this fat check. Like, when you just put any of your decisions and it's just like, God told me to do it, I think for a lot of people, it's a way of like skirting accountability and responsibility and being like, hey, I made the choice to leave a lot of these kids who I recruited out in the cold because I had a better opportunity.
I got
you. I think that's the part that kind of rubbed people wrong. But for me, I love Prime. I always love Prime.
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing wrong with him leaving. And, he did as much as he could. But the thing that disappoints me is that he went to Colorado. It's like, dude, you couldn't have waited another fucking 6 months or a year. They would have given you the job at like Oklahoma.
It's just a natural progression. Like, I think for him going to Colorado, it's not that big a deal to me, but I think that was more on like he can do more things his way because they don't really have like an infrastructure of greatness. Their team went, I think, 1-11 or 1-10 or some shit. They won one game. Whatever the amount of losses, they only won one game last year. They had Josh McCown's son as a quarterback, and they couldn't even win more than one game. Like, if you go to a place like that, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. It was the same thing at JSU. Looks like
McCown's destined to be a backup, just like his dad.
No, but it was like the same thing when he went to JSU. He can invoke more change there because there wasn't. I mean, they were a more prominent football program, but like he could make a lot more change there because he could do what he wanted there. So that's why he could improve facilities as fast as he could. He could improve everything in a 3-year span. Same thing with Colorado. They don't have an infrastructure, so he can improve things probably in like a 1-year span. There's a transfer portal. He can bring whoever he wants to go coach or play with him. He can do whatever he wants. He gets the best coaches. He gets the best players. They know they're going to the NFL if they play for him. That's a given. Ain't nobody mad about that. I'm just not trying to hear no criticism towards him at all. If you're not doing anything to help, shut up. If you are, I feel like Bomani probably has. His mom was a teacher at HBCU. So I can hear it from him. But Bomani was saying the same thing, though. It's not that he's not mad about him going to Colorado. He's just talking about one thing, just the God thing. Honestly, every single person in at least a public eye on a public platform, like a grand platform like ESPN or any of that type of shit, black people really weren't that mad about it. Bomani was maybe one. Jason Whitlock, yeah, but he's not on a show. Exactly. Don't it? Yeah. Everybody else, every Twitter fingers, Facebook, YouTube comments.
I want to see Jason Whitlock's Ancestry.com. All right? That's all I'm going to say.
Look.
Before we go out on a limb and assume his race, I just want to see that. Yeah.
All I'm asking is this, right? You've been on Wikipedia lately, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be asking for a donation of $2, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If every single fucking graduate, or at least a person who went to HBCU, or even a black person, help out. See what you can do to help. Stop criticizing. Let the man make his money and be great. Then you go to Jackson State and try to help them out. You go to fucking NCCUs for me. North Carolina A&T on your hat. Help out. Stop complaining. Help the conference be better.
But the real way to help is to help them develop another revenue stream so they aren't relying on the state legislator to set their budget, to get out from being controlled and being yoked by the state. Because
and
even if a bunch of people come to donate money, the state will just say, oh, well, that's great because we need to upgrade our computer lab.
Yeah. And Deion did that. Deion did that. So I'm not trying to hear no shit from nobody. Like, he did that. And I'd like to say this. Jackson State has 4 NFL players in the Hall of Fame. That's I think, 10th most in all of college football.
Yeah.
They got a program that could be great. Y'all can continue to help Jackson State out. That's not going to be a problem. That's not going to be a problem. Stop complaining and help. That's all I'm saying. Hey, I'm not complaining.
The last thing I'll say, and this is to all the HBCUs out there, you mentioned Eddie George. Where's he at? Fisk? Tennessee State? I thought he was out there in Tennessee.
Tennessee State, I believe. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. There's only one Deion Sanders.
That's true.
Right? There have been a lot of great players in NFL history. They're not going to be Deion Sanders when you bring them into the pro. Primetime has been one of a kind his whole life in the way that he gets people to believe him, his internal confidence, his way to show others. Like, he is legit, and he's one of the few great players that's like one of the best to ever do it that can explain the minutia of the game and how to get better to other people instead of like, you know, being like Magic Johnson, being like, oh, this guy just doesn't have vision. Like, you know, Prime will teach you where your eyes are supposed to be, where your hands are supposed to be, how your body's supposed to be aligned. He'll get you to believe in a bigger picture that we can change the whole landscape, that he's big enough and magnanimous enough to do it. I know there are other great black players who played in the NFL and some of them who went to HBCUs, but don't think that you can just hire some Hall of Famer and make him the coach of the HBCU and he's going to be like Coach Prime, because it's not going to happen.
No, that's definitely not going to happen. But it's not just on the head coach to, you know, change the infrastructure of a whole college program. Like, it's like, you guys have to, Deion is worth 20 men. You need to get a board of 20 to 30 different types of people to help y'all out, bro. Y'all need to help each other out. Stop tearing somebody down. Help each other out.
Hey, but to your point of, you know, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, white people go to work with a job to do. Black people go to work with a responsibility. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing how that responsibility is weighed on Deion and the backlash that he's getting from, in some people's opinions, shirking some parts of it and not fulfilling what he's promised.
And I bet
for us, shouts out to Deion. Best of luck at Colorado State.
Hell
I
yeah.
hope you turn around. I'm going to be rooting for you. And you probably could still beat me in a 40-yard dash with 6 toes.
Most definitely, bro. I'm just saying, he gave them like $500,000 back, bro. He's cool. He's giving money back. Y'all ain't doing shit. So shut up. Shut up.
Hey, I bought a T-shirt.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about blacks.
Yeah, I was like, come on, man. I bought this on Juneteenth. Come on.
Nah, man. Shout out to HBCUs, bro. That's all I gotta say. I've done my part. All I'm saying, but I'm not criticizing. If you ain't criticizing, I'm cool with you. Keep doing what you do. Support the man. Support black people, bro. Stop bringing people down.
Yeah. It's been a nearly flawless 2 weeks for you, Terry, with you stepping up on the Jerry Jones stuff. Now this. If you had just kept those comments about lowering the rim to 9 feet to yourself, you would have had a perfect
Hey, Deion Sanders, bro. He's made more black people millionaires than I've ever counted in my life. So I'm just saying. Anybody doing that?
More than Barry Goity.
Thank you for listening to our podcast this evening. Thank you. You're far too kind.